Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to the second episode of the MigrantPolitan TV with your host, Mr. Larry, Mr. Shaka Larry. And tonight we have interesting guests and a very fantastic topic to talk about. We will be talking about women empowerment and feminism. I need to learn a lot from feminism. But to talk to us on women empowerment, we have a super migrant in the house. It took me a huge headache to get her here. And I introduce to you my sister, my good friend, Fatuma Musa Afra. Born in, she will tell you about herself later on. But she's a super migrant in Germany, in Europe, empowering women, fighting for the struggles of women to have equal opportunity, open space, whatever. She will tell you today what she's doing on that sphere. So I thank you all for coming, and you're most welcome. I have all my crew here in the house, the Camp Nago crew, Mighty Misha, Boy Division, and my manager Nadine, Rabia, Hannah Sabura, Danny Banani, Dancing Sven. You're welcome. And the super badass feminine group, One Mother. They want to kick my ass tonight, so we'll wait and see what's going to happen. So before we get to One Mother, I would like to introduce my first guest tonight to talk about women empowerment, Fatuma Musa Afra. You're welcome to join me on the podium to talk about women empowerment. A round of applause. Okay. Thank you. I need to get loose now. This is my living room. Fatu, you're welcome. You got your mic on the left. Oh, okay. So, women empowerment. It's a big issue. I remember struggling for many years in the early days of asking for inclusion, participation. Mostly, the people we see in those meetings are women. German women, young ladies, girls, and they kept on asking me, where are the refugee women? Where are they? Of course, there's nothing I could say that they are there. But I'm happy today, fast forward 4 years later on, people like you are there, telling it to us in our eyes, in our faces, how it is. And I'm happy to have you on my show tonight. And I would like you to introduce yourself to the guest, to the audience, and tell us what you do, actually.
First of all, thank you so much for having me here. Hello, everybody. How is the atmosphere? If it's nice, say it, hoo-hoo. That's great. I'm happy I made it. Because don't laugh at me. I thought the event is tomorrow. So you can see what Friday can do to you and what women empowerment can do to you. It can mess a lot with your small head, my small head especially. I would love to say once again, thank you so much for having me again and again. And I'm a huge fan of you, and I really believe in what you do as an individual and as an activist, fellow activist, that we have a lot to learn and share from different perspectives, even though we focus on different topics, but sometimes the same. Basically, my name is Fatuma Musa Afra, but the Somali way is Fadumo. I was born in a war country, and I moved to Kenya, where I grew up when I was like 3 to 4 years old, from that age, and I lost my father in a war. And growing up, it wasn't an easy growing up. I didn't have a lot of opportunities, a lot of privileges that I see right now here. But I'm grateful with my life. I had such a great community who took care of a woman like me. And I'm so grateful to them, regardless of the challenges that I've been through as a young woman. I'm not sure if I'm a young or old woman, but I do a lot of different things. I just recently founded an organization called United Action. And that story comes now with part of my introduction. I'm here in Germany like 4 years and some months. And I lived in a refugee camp for 1 year and some months, close to 1 year and a half. And while I was in this refugee camp, there was absolutely nothing going on. So I just wanted to do something with my life. I didn't want to just be stranded and have friends. Our best friends were Polizei and ambulance, because we were in the middle of nowhere. We were neglected. We had nobody in contact with. So all of us, we were depressed and we didn't know what to do. So people turned on each other, and every time there was so much fighting, there was so much alcohol involved, and I was not used to that. So that's why I'm calling our best friend by then was Polizei and ambulance, because people were experiencing so much. But then I said, what can I do? I mean, I don't drink alcohol, and I don't think people wanted to drink irresponsibly. They can drink if they want, that's their life. But a lot of people were overdoing it because they were depressed and they had no friend to talk to, no family, no contact. Imagine staying in a place for a whole week without even having no contact. Imagine, put yourself in that position with no family to talk, with so much life depression. So that's how I came up with the idea of United Action. And I used to go from refugee camp to another, and I advocate for the word newcomers. I hate the word refugee. I mean, I respect the word itself, but when people use it in the social environment, I'm not for it. I love people to call me by my name. If that's not enough, just call me a newcomer. That should be at least more welcoming than calling me, the refugee. You're a refugee. How many years are you here? You're a refugee. This labeling, we're like autos, cars, have number plates, boom, in your face. Some people don't see who you are beyond that. And besides that, I also, I do consultation. I consult different politicians. I worked before in the German parliament. I also consult at the EU level, different organizations within Europe, within Germany. Mostly I travel within Germany. And yeah, I do a lot of different things, workshops and blah, blah, blah. But to cut the story short, I believe in women empowerment. Okay. And women empowerment is human empowerment.
So you need to break it down to us, what United EV is and where you're trying to take it to.
United Action is basically United Action EFAO is basically focusing on how to empower newcomer women and also families and young girls. And most importantly for me, integration is the second. First is inclusion. Mm-hmm. Then comes integration. A lot of us newcomer women, we come from cultures where our cultures are beautiful. Don't get me wrong. We have beautiful part of our cultures. But when it comes to women empowerment, we're not yet there. It's always a man beneficial thing. And a lot of people also, I don't want to go into that topic, but they mix between culture and religion and misuse it. And for me, with United Action, we hope to encourage more women, empower more women, and hopefully prepare a lot of women who can contribute to the society and be seen as a resource, not as a woman, the way it's defined. Because so many people have approached me and told me, you're just a woman. And I always struggled with this word since I was a child. You're just a woman. So what? So what? Does that mean my intellectual capacity is limited? I cannot do anything? How do you define me as a woman? So that's mainly United Action is basically trying to see how to support, how to encourage, how to mobilize and guide them. And don't forget, we can never empower women without men. I can't believe that. Because men are our brothers, men are our fathers, men are, describe it all, they're part of our lives. But as we try to understand them, we need to put them in their position as well. We try to be the good women soft, but when the time comes and we are pushed to the limit, then we gotta go for it. But that doesn't mean we hate you men, doesn't mean we hate our fathers, our brothers, but we want to have an equal responsibility together, an equal human understanding, an equal human respect, period. What does it mean to be a woman? And what does it mean to be a man? Thank you so much. So United Action hopefully will be a champion, an ambassador to go out with women, all kinds of women, no religion, no color, nothing. Our name is a human being, women, so that we can reach out there, mobilize the community, create awareness and sensitization about our own rights, because if we do not educate about our own rights, who will? Who will? No one else will. We are the leaders of today, tomorrow, and the day after. So they got to get used to that. Men, we are here to demand our position, and you're going to take us nowhere. We are here. We want to use democracy, but if that doesn't work, I don't believe in violence, but we will talk together, man. We will sit down and talk. You're not one of them. You are the good one.
Okay. I'm a good one. I have a good vote here.
You have my red card.
Yep. Red card or a vote?
No, the good red card. Don't think negative. Stay calm, okay?
Red
Take
means...
it easy.
Okay, red means...
red means beauty.
Beautiful love and whatever. Okay, now, I remember the last time I bumped into you in Berlin. You were part of a campaign. And that's the campaign on the screen. And we were talking, I was out of Germany, and we were trying to meet each other, but there was no chance because you were busy, I was busy doing other things. But all of a sudden, we ran into each other in the Berlin Hütbahnhof, you know? You remember? They just gave you an award. She stole all the awards from me, actually. I was the golden child in 2015, early 2016.
Don't talk about that.
But Faduma came and took all the awards and the glamour from me. But no problem, I'm still here.
Because I'm a woman.
I'm still here. Then I met you, and you got an award for the beautiful work you're doing, which I appreciate a lot. And I always encourage you to do more. What's your typical Dutch-German experience? Because that was a campaign. So what is your typical Dutch experience or German experience? Don't tell me in English.
You're taking me to a hard topic.
Talk to me in German now.
Naja, ich glaube, ich kann besser Deutsch sprechen als dich. Oder als dir, ich habe keine Ahnung. Die Grammar ist noch nicht da. Aber ich glaube, wenn wir gehen in Prüfung, ich habe B1. Ich habe B1. Ich hatte gemacht das ohne Deutschkursintegration. Okay, also
your typical Dutch experience.
For me, there's two types of typisch Deutsch. There's the beautiful typisch Deutsch, and there's the other typisch Deutsch. What I mean by the beautiful typisch Deutsch, for me as a woman, honestly speaking, the German women have really inspired, empowered me. And there's so much to learn from the history of the German women development, where they were and where they are. But still, they have a long way to go as well. The imbalance is still there. But the coming back to the negative typisch Deutsch, I have this skin color. Hello. And being an expert woman in this skin color, I work in 2 different regions in Berlin and Brandenburg, and it's very hard to work as a woman of color, as an expert. I experience so many different things. And sometimes I don't want to cry, but sometimes I'm this much close to give up. In these areas where I work, I said, Fadumo, you are this type of a woman who wants to contribute to the society. I'm not sure if I'm doing good, but I'm trying. I'm sure I'm trying my best. And I said, if you don't help these women who are in the middle of nowhere, who will? So many women turn to drugs. So many women turn to so many things they don't want to end up in. And then I said, if I give up, who is the winner here? The losers are the winners. And I don't want to give them the power. They can degrade me down. They can bring me down. They can hurt me down. But guess what? My head will always be up. And I will never give them the power to hurt me. And those are the negative typisch Deutsch that I'm talking about. But there are a lot of beautiful people in this community, and I divide the German society into 3. The welcoming, the confused, which is the big number. I don't want to use my finger along the middle one, because in my culture this doesn't have a meaning, but in this culture I had to learn a lot. The second team is the confused team. They don't know which to follow. And the third team is the negative ones who don't want us here completely, like the AfD, who are using their key messages, immigration and Islamophobia, and creating hatred between people, which I think hate can never win. Love can win.
How do you feel as a Muslim woman, as a black woman in a white world?
For me as a woman, part of the problems that I go through, for example, one of my first keynote speech I did was here in Hamburg with the Chaos Computer Club. 6,000 online, 6,000 offline. God knows what I've experienced. The ugly black woman, the confused transgender, the ugly Muslim black woman of all. Give it all names. I didn't know what this meant, so I was depressed about it because I didn't understand what I was getting into and what kind of community I was facing. But guess what? I welcome any word right now. I don't care. But I was new to this world when I came here and I was doing this keynote speech. But there were also a lot of beautiful people whom I met there, like some of my friends, Julia Reda, Anke Domschbach, she just got into the German parliament. She's an EU member of parliament, Julia Reda. I met a lot of incredible people as well. But being a woman of color and also with this, it's an extra stress added on top. I remember one time I was in a meeting and I was very emotional about the experience regarding racism I was experiencing. And this lady told me, Faduma, it's okay. I told her it's okay for you because of your skin color. You don't tell me it's okay. So some of us, we pretend to understand other people's feeling. But the question for me is, how do we define it as a society together? How do we define it? But then the most important thing as well is, define it is one thing. But understanding it together is another level. Talking about things. I have lovely friends who always take 1 hour on the telephone. I cry to them deeply. And I'm so grateful. I have such friends that can give me all that time to talk to me and say, hey, share with me your experiences. I am not the right person to tell you what you should feel or not, but just let it out. Shout. Do what you want. They come to me, hold me by my hand. I have no family here, but they're my family. But guess what? It's easy to talk, but I believe in action. Keep theory outside. Please, keep theory outside. Let us act. What we need is real action with love, with respect, and real humanity. I don't give up on humanity.
Love, respect, and humanity. Round of applause for Faduma Musa Afra. It is deep, right? You feel it, right? You feel it. Fatuma, thanks a lot for... Sit down. I need to get my next guest. They are the badass feminist sisters in the house. You said you're not feminist, but I have the sisters in the house, and we're going to have a chat with them because it's on the other side. Of course, people have questions for you. We're never tired of you. We always ask you questions, okay? Love you, love everybody. Love is reigning in the house. So, it's all beautiful. One mother, my next guest on the show tonight is one mother, the original badass sisters in the house. And I have Natasha P.
Yes.
Radiant, Preach, Jocelyn, and DJ Isabel. Isabel is a posse, you know what a posse is? Back in the West, they shoot your ass if you're a posse, you know what I mean? So, ladies, you're most welcome to kick my ass on the couch. We're talking feminism. Fatuma, sorry, these ladies will squeeze you out, They are tough, badass, they kick people's ass. So a round of applause once again for one mother on the stage. I'm going to go up close and personal with one of each of you, because this modern feminist thing affects me now, okay? It really affects me. And I don't understand it, the modern feminism. But probably I need you all to explain to me, to teach me, so I can learn. And those are the feminists that I knew when I was growing up. That's Winnie Mandela, And the next picture, if we can scroll to the next picture, And she's Nawal El Shadawi. Am I right? The Arab people? Sadawi. She's also a female feminist from the Arab world, fighting for the cause of women. And I grew up around women, my mother and my aunties, way back. Because, you know, Europeans have a perception that all African people suppress their women. And I always, when this discussion pops up in my chat, I always tell them, where are these African people from? You have to define for me. Then, but this Africa. I said, no, Africa is big. There are different people, different cultures. So you have to tell me. But from my culture, I grew up around women who were stronger, who were kind of rebelling against the status quo. But that was back in the 80s and 70s. But this is now, I see a lot of things happening in the feminist world, especially from that book Chimamanda wrote that spiced up everybody, the consciousness of everybody. So can you please define to me, in present day now, as we relate every day, me and you guys, what feminism is to you all? If you can sum it up, who's gonna do the talking now? There's a microphone, definitely.
Maybe I just start right away with saying that I think there are a lot of different ways of badass, and I think you definitely want to, Fatima. And I think feminism for me is a future where we don't actually have to squeeze someone, because we can all coexist in our own different ways of being a badass. So maybe that's one answer to your question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think that's, one answer. And I think it's a really broad question, and the answers are really complex, but maybe that's a way.
This modern feminism that we practice now, you're all young, you're in this modern sphere now. What is it? I don't understand it. So you really need to put me on the track to understand it. What's the politics behind it? What's the culture behind it? This is the questions that I want to ask you personally.
I mean, we've been through some waves of feminism, like first, second, third. Maybe I don't need to explain that. And I think we got to a point where we start to rethink gender and the constructions made out of it. Like before that, we were thinking more about how the construction of two different genders behave towards equality, and how inequality was constructed because of these genders. And now we're at the point where we actually start to deconstruct these ideas of binary systems. And that might sound a bit abstract, but what I actually want to say is that I think we got to a point where we try to overcome gender, and that for me is feminism right now. Yeah, rethinking gender and also rethinking our positions in a globalized society. And also we have more knowledge now, which is an opportunity. Like we don't just think about feminism like in a woman rights turn, but we also think about intersectional feminism. And we think about like all the intersections of class, race, if someone is physically able to do things or not, if they're homo, heterosexual, whatever, like all the different types of sexuality. So I think we're at a point where we have so much more knowledge that we should take this and actually do something with it. So for me, that's feminism right now, is that we have much more possibilities to rethink categories that have been created and existed for decades, that we're now able to overcome or maybe even use, to kind of get to a different point or life that is much more worth existing than it is right now.
Well, there's one thing I can tell you. We're all scared of you at the moment now, on the other side, you know? And, well, maybe because I'm old school or whatever, approaching you ladies now are you all in relationships?
Probably mixed.
But do you kick the asses of your partners?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't know if someone does.
So you're so relaxed in this relationship. So that means.
But maybe, you know what, Gary, maybe we can talk about the scare, because I think I know what you mean. Okay, I'm going to answer this one, and then I'm going to give the microphones to the others as well.
I think so.
So I think the scare is that when you see women fight for the rights of femmes, like people who also don't identify as women, but they get gendered as women from society, that you get scared because you feel like there's someone with a lot of knowledge and someone who wants to take power that you own. So I think that this is the wrong approach. The right approach would be, okay, there's a person who knows something to make this world more equal. Like maybe we should share this knowledge, and maybe we should work together to create a world that is more equal. But I experience that a lot, that people are scared when someone kind of judges or critiques their position in society. And if I say like, yeah, me as a woman or you as man with all your privileges, I don't say that to attack someone or to scare someone, but I'm saying that to reflect kind of the life that we're living and maybe make it a bit better. So, but what I experience a lot is this fear, like once you start attacking privileges to make the world a better place, what actually happens is people start to get scared, but because of what? Because they're scared to give up power. That's it. And that is, and that's not easy. Like even if I think about myself, like I also have privileges. I have them. Like, of course, I don't have certain privileges, but I do have privileges. Like I'm an academic woman and I have access to education and I have access to certain things. Do I want to give it up? No. You know, like I get it. It's really, really hard to give up power. And I don't actually see that men want, or I don't see a lot of men who want to do that.
For me personally, if I define the word feminism or who's a feminist, I believe everybody's a feminist. And if everybody's not feminist, everybody should be feminist. But if you come to the issue regarding power and fear, for example, I want to take an example myself. I don't want to give the whole stories, but in the community where I come from, a woman like, should I say me? I'm not sure if I'm that good, but I believe I'm okay. If you know what you want in life and you want to see a different world that equalizes all, that looks everybody from the same direction and position, you don't have that much space of welcome in your own community. So many people feel threatened. And you know how they bring you down with your power? Talking negative about you. Ugly things like, she talks too much. Woman like you who will marry. You need to relax and stay home. Why? All this is created in the interest of my brother to stay at home and lay in bed beautifully. I cook for him, clean for him, warm water for him because there's no electricity. Go to the bush, get firewood, get the baby on the back, get the baby on the front, 20 liter, walk 10 kilometers. Who wouldn't get all this advantage and to step on your head? So I think it's also about society definition of all these things. It's influence. It's about who do we give power to? Who do we define is the power here? And I always tell, women problem, number one is women problem. Then comes in the others. But it's our problem first. But what does that mean? That doesn't mean that we can be without men. We should all, if we want to fight for equality and we exclude men, then what is the point of fighting in this situation? I am someone who always believed pushing men to the wall because of anger, frustration, depression. So much still going on that I have to still work on. But if you look from a reality perspective of life, we all need to coexist like this. And that's why I believe every one of us is a feminist. And we should, if you are not, we all should be feminists.
You need to really tell us. That's how you shape society. You need to write, yeah, we're struggling, we're fighting for this or that, but you need to also tell us how to be straight. How to
give us your money.
Money.
Give us your money, give us your space, give us your power. That's all we need. Yeah. Exactly. Like,
Listen
we don't
to
need
us.
much. Yeah. For example, like inviting us, paying us to speak, paying us to get space, like giving us access to resources that you own in
Access to resources.
yeah,
the
that's
word.
it. Like, I don't actually need like how can I say, the brains of men. No, the only thing I need are the resources and access to resources. And I think if you want to support women, then just give up some of your power. That's that's a
Okay,
good way to
guys.
start.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can also support like all your femme friends. You can support them and you can ask them what they need, what kind of support they need, you know, and then just support them, share your privileges and give up some of them, I guess.
But let's be hopeful, because you spoke a lot about being optimistic about the world. And old people, old politicians, old religious leaders will die. Younger ones will take the space. How do you now, from United Action EV, from one mother, start empowering these women to come out of this shell that they've been put in?
And I think what's very important is really, really create safe space for newcomer women or other women to come together and share their stories. Once they have this kind of safe spaces where they can talk to one another, they can really, really, really encourage one another and also have the chance to prepare one another. For example, if I learn something about you, because I'm here just 4 years, even though I'm struggling still to understand my rights, I would love to meet someone like you in a safe space where there are no men, only women get to raise their voices and share ideas together. And when I say raises their voices, share emotion, physically, mentally, and everything. Talk together. But then, I'm talking about now the newcomer women who come from a different side of a world where all these things we're talking about gets nothing about. When the first time I was told about feminism, I said, what is that? I was a feminist in my own way. But the definition of the word, you always stand in front of men who believe you are down there, who believe like you are law, peace. And then there are a lot of beautiful men also, it's great men who want to support you, but they're scared in the culture because they think if they see a man who is supporting a woman, they think that you are behind this woman, you are after something. So safe space, creating more safe spaces for women is the basic to empower. Then create a more general space when you have prepared and encourage them into participation, talking for themselves, learning about their rights, and getting that power back.
Yeah. What I see in the last weeks, I'm in a group. It's called Posse, and we're only women. Also, like learning more and more at the moment what we can do, and we are going to panels, just informing us to become. Yeah, we have a safe space as well. We are trying to create something like this, and a lot of friends told me that when they're on panels, it's always the question from a man who's like who has fear that he's not seen, excluded, and stuff like this. And the whole panel, like it's when it takes 1 hour, it's like 30 minutes talking, or maybe 45 minutes. It's talking about man problem.
It's funny because we had the exact same issues 2 weeks ago on the panel. Like, I think, half of the time we talked about how to include men in feminist discussions. And actually it was a talk about like art and feminist resistance. And then there was this one girl in the audience who said, I would actually like to ask, like, how did you get to make art? Like, what were the strategies? These were the questions that we were actually should respond to, like empower each other, give knowledge, and kind of, share experiences. But instead, we talked more than half an hour about how to include men in feminist discussions.
I just want to say again and again, we are not against men as women. We love them. We respect them. And that's exactly what we need back from men. Thank you. That's how I will close.
Okay. Thank you. Can we wrap it up now? Any other thing to say? No? So, Can we have the juice of the one mother or no? So spice it up. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll take music from One Mother, and it's a pleasure having you all. You're all welcome.
Der Fluch, nach dem du riechst, ist keiner, den du verdienst. Aber an dir haftet, seit du mit Karma schließt. Spiel nicht mit Karma. Sie hat dich im Griff und holt dich immer wieder zurück. Der Fluch, nach dem du riechst, ist keiner, den du verdienst. Fake nicht mit Karma. Spiel nicht mit Karma. Sie hat dich im Griff und holt dich notfalls zurück. Du hattest sie, jetzt hat sie dich. Loyal, lässt sich niemals im Stich. Einmal dran gelegt, hat geschmeckt, den Geschmack vergisst du nicht. Bitte nicht mit ihr an.
Lass sie nicht an dich ran.
Vielen Dank. Merci. Preach. Dankeschön.
Normalerweise treffe ich meine Homies, aber heute bin ich allein. Normalerweise treffe ich meine Homies, aber heute habe ich leider keine Zeit. Und manchmal ist das Wetter zu heiß. Aus Tränen wird dann Dunst oder Schweiß. Dann gebe ich den Enten ein Stück Brot. Es war vergammelt, jetzt sind sie tot. Es war vergammelt, jetzt sind sie tot. Normalerweise treffe ich meine Boys, aber manche wollen gar keine sein. Normalerweise treffe ich meine Boys, aber heute bin ich allein. Und manchmal ist der Regen einfach zu krass. Wir fliehen in die Wohnung, bleiben lieber blass. Alle fragen sich, warum ist ihre Haut nicht weiß. Ich bin Kleopatra, Bitch. Halt die Fresse, sonst ist vorbei. Halt die Fresse, sonst ist vorbei. Shit. Stand auf dem Schild. Bitte nicht füttern. Bitte nicht füttern. Bitte nicht. Bitte nicht.